The new iPhone 17 Pro, the flagship of the 17 lineup. Is it really a Pro model phone, or should you get something like a 17 base model? In this video today, I'm gonna give you guys an honest review of what I think of this 17 Pro. I have been using it for the past few days to really get a good experience. Now, before we get into this video, make sure to drop a like and a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get started. So the first thing I wanna talk about is the design. You either love it or you hate it because this new camera hump over here is very controversial. Now, personally, I don't really hate it. I actually kind of like the design. It looks really modern to me. And in terms of the actual hump itself, it doesn't protrude all that much like people make it seem to be. The color options are very limited. You have like this whitish silver color, you have a dark blue, and then this orange. There's no black color, which kind of sucks because that's kind of my go-to, and I feel like most people would want a black colored phone. So the closest thing to black is that dark blue color, which is manageable, but I don't love it. Another thing about the 17 Pro is that it got much thicker and heavier to compensate for the larger battery in here. And I gotta say, it kind of does feel like a brick in my hand, even though this is the smaller size, not the Pro Max. And with it being made out of an aluminum material instead of a titanium one like last year, it does kind of feel a little cheap. There's also been a numerous amount of reports of people saying that it scratches really easily, and for a Pro model phone, I would expect better quality than just using a very malleable material. Another design thing is the Apple logo in the back. So it's not actually centered with the phone. It's kind of offsetted towards the bottom to be centered with this portion, not necessarily the whole entire phone. And that can be an issue when it comes to getting a clear iPhone case because the logo is not in the middle. And even Apple themselves, when they designed cases for the 17 Pro, they actually relocated the Apple logo to be centered with the phone. Next up, I want to talk about performance. So with this being the Pro phone, you get the A19 Pro chip with a 6-core CPU and a 6-core GPU. You also get more RAM, up to 12 gigabytes rather than 8 gigabytes in the standard version. Performance is pretty good across the board. I gotta say, there's really not much to say about it. Everything feels super quick, very fluid on here. Whether you're gonna be gaming, video editing, photo editing, everything's gonna perform very smoothly. And with the upgraded cooling chambers in here, you can do those heavy sustained tasks for a long duration. Another performance type of upgrade that is done is the display. So it is still technically the same screen as last generation. You get the ProMotion 120 Hertz, but you get slightly better brightness at 3000 nits compared to 2000 nits. And after using this phone in various lighting conditions, I gotta say it's actually not as noticeable as Apple kind of makes it seem to be. Like on paper, it is 30% brighter, but then when you're actually using it outdoors, it looks pretty much the same as the previous generation at 2000 nits. Next up, I want to talk about battery life. So I did do a 24-hour challenge or a day in a life video with the 17 Pro as a main driver, and I was able to clock in 21 hours on a single charge. So if you're worried about battery life, obviously there's no problem with this phone, and depending on how you use it, you can either extend it or reduce it. Now, there's not much to say about the 17 Pro. It's pretty much the best phone in the lineup, not counting the Pro Max. It does everything better than the base model 17. It's faster, has better cameras, better performance overall, significantly better than the Air, obviously. You have more cameras, better battery, everything like that. Now, everything about the 17 Pro is honestly pretty solid, but something that doesn't sit right with me is mainly its value. The starting price of the 17 Pro is $1,100, which is pretty steep. And if you look at the rest of the 17 lineup, especially the base model 17, it has a lot of Pro features only for $800. The base model 17 gets the same exact display, the same exact camera, missing the telephoto, the same processing chip, minus 1 core and slightly less RAM at 8 gigabytes. I wish that Apple made a little bit more of a distinction between the base models and the Pro models, maybe adding a special feature with this phone. But the only noticeable difference is just the extra camera and a slightly better battery life. I feel like if you were to get a Pro phone, I think you should just jump straight to the Pro Max version because you're actually getting more everything. You get a bigger screen, you have better battery life, better thermal management. That is what feels like a real Pro phone, and that's gonna cost around $1,200. And so the 17 Pro kind of sits in a really weird price point. For $1,100, you get this kind of good but not so great phone. Then you can spend $100 more to get the Pro Max version, which is actually like a Pro phone. But if you spend $100 less, or you can spend $1,000, you can get an Air, right? So it's kind of sitting in a really weird spot here because the gap from the 17 base model to the Air is pretty big, you know, and there's also a pretty big price difference. Air to the Pro Max is also another big jump. I feel like that is pretty evenly spread out in terms of different levels of phones. But then when we come to the 17 Pro itself, it just kind of slots in between there in a really random weird spot. Like I said, not a bad phone whatsoever. It's a pretty solid phone, but I just can't see myself justifying the price of $1,100 for a phone that's very similar to the base model. So yeah, that is my honest review on the 17 Pro. Not that it's a bad phone, but I think for the money, you can get a lot more. If you guys want to see other content about the 17 Pro and all the other 17 models, I've been making a lot of content on it on my channel, so make sure to go head over there and check it out. But with that being said, make sure to drop a like and a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.